Hey everybody, and welcome to whatever. So the other day I uploaded a video that was more of a overview of what I have in this room, or at least over on this gaming part, the sim rig. So today I thought I would go through and give more of an in-depth on this GTO Mega Prime cockpit and things I like, things I don't like, or would change, how I would have done it differently, things like that. So I think I'll touch on the wheel and stuff a little bit too, but I'm going to flip the camera around and then we're going to go ahead and get some ideas and things like that. I do have some footage of me putting it together that I will probably splice in as I'm talking. You'll notice the lighting will be horrible in that video because back then I had one really dim light bulb in this room when I first started this mess. Obviously, it's a little brighter now. So anyway, I'm going to flip this around. We're going to go through the cockpit and features and what I like and don't like. All right, so this is a view that I've had in countless pictures and thumbnails and whatnot because this is exactly how it looks when I walk in my door to this room. So this is the GTO Mega Prime cockpit, and this is the RS9 seat. So we're going to start there. I like this seat. I really like the material on it. It is it really feels like the same leather quality that is in my my GL. So I mean, I really do like the seat quality. All right, so one thing I don't like about this chair is, so this piece right here, the way it pinches in to the leather. So you can see right there, it's kind of left a mark on it. I mean, it's leather and it's not ripping or anything, but it really does pinch in pretty hard on each side. And I'm sure it's because of the way the bolster is. This bolt here, it just really, I don't know, there's something about it, it kind of irks me a little bit. I don't think it needed to be that much pressure on it. So the other problem I have with this seat, okay, so you can see up here, you can see the indentation left by the plastic. Again, I think that's a little excessive. Time will tell how that works. But the bigger thing, so here's that center bolt, right? And it goes through this hole, which goes through this threaded thing. That's what holds the plastic on, right? Right. Nope, dropped it. Okay, so this goes on here. Screw it. So the thing I don't like, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, there was no relief cut out in the leather behind this bracket. Without taking the bracket off, it's hard to show you. But take, for example, this top. Okay, so you can see the leather is right behind it. That's basically how it is behind this threaded piece here. These bolts are so long that getting through here, I mean, you can see that sticks out a good, well, even from the edge of this, it's a good ½ an inch deep, but it doesn't need to be. So right now, this piece here is lined up right here, straight with how it goes up. So when this goes up, let me take that bolt out. When this goes up here, this is straight. So if we bring it back down, just like that, we put this, put this bolt in. Okay, so when we level this up, you can see how far in that bolt actually has to penetrate into the seat to hold it in. Not just the bracket, but it actually goes into the seat. And because of that, if you can see that it's white in there, that's because it's broken through the leather, and that's actually the cushioning in the back. So major design flaw, in my opinion, as far as that goes. This bolt it's only holding on a piece of plastic. It is not structural. It only needed to be an inch deep. And if I were doing it again, or if I ever replace this seat, I will keep an eye out for that for the next time, and I will actually cut the bolt down. It only needs to go through here and engage the threads, a couple of threads, just to hold this in place instead of having to drill effectively all the way into the seat. I mean, you can look there. So that's as far as that plastic goes on. And now we're threaded in. And look how much of this bolt, I mean, this is a couple threads into that piece. And look how far this bolt sticks out. That is, it's totally unnecessary. I mean, yeah, it's nice that we've got it, but that's a lot of, I mean, it's a good, I mean, but by the time this cinches down, It's a good 3/8 of an inch that is actually going into the seat through the leather. I mean, it literally pokes a hole through the leather, and then away you go. So let's tighten this sucker back up. I need stickum on my hands. Now, I did not have this problem when I put the seat together, but that's probably because I wasn't holding a camera the whole time. You can kind of see up here, now that we're tightening it. I can't say tightening. Now that we're tightening it up, you can see how this has gone in there. Now I'm going to leave it about here. It's still not all the way tight as much as I had it. And before you ask, why not just leave this loose? Because then this leaves a very big gap. If you only put this in just a little bit, this piece will flop around. So anyway, wow, what are the odds? I give up. Otherwise, though, I do like it. There's one other tiny thing with it, and I don't know if it's just mine. I haven't looked into this yet, but let's see if we can get a good view of this. Let me stand up. I'm gonna come around to the back. Now, if we look straight down, and this is about, well, if I line the camera up here, where it is straight, you will see that this side here sits in just a hair farther than this side. And that's not really noticeable back here. But if I come up over the top, okay, if I look straight down, the front of this chair actually angles that way. Now it's barely noticeable until you notice it. But right here you can kind of see. If I zoom in here, I can't zoom in because I'm in super steady mode on my phone. Awesome. Anyway, but if you look right here, you can see the handle is facing straight, but the chair angles that way. Now it could be just the rails on the bottom of the chair. One of the advantages to an 80/20 rig or a profile rig of any sort is that once this stuff gets in there, like this stuff here, once you're locked in, you're locked in. And a lot of this stuff is designed to mount strictly 90 degrees, but that means that 90 degrees is like dead on 90, and there's not really a whole lot of change. I actually did try loosening up the bolts under here to slide this back. You know, maybe I could tilt this back just a notch. No go. It doesn't bother me. Like it, other than the visual aspect of it, I don't notice it at all when racing. It doesn't irk one of my legs more than the other. It's fine for that, but it is a thing. So I think it's just the railing needs to be adjusted on the bottom of the chair. When the chair comes, it's pre-assembled, the base and the slider together, and then you just bolt the back on. So I didn't bother to, well, really I didn't think I needed to bother to double check the railing and the sliders before I put the bottom on the base. So maybe someday it'll bug me enough where I'll take it off, but for now, no. So a couple other things. So let's go to this shifter rail or this accessory rail. I mean, I'm going to call it a shifter rail because that's where I'm going to have it for my shifter. And that's what this plate is. People had asked about how strong this is, and I can basically lift the whole thing up by putting on it. You can see that the whole thing flexes more than this plate's going to flex. And when you're using a shifter, you're doing this motion, forward and backward. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not like a direct drive wheel, which is going to have more force than a non-direct drive or a belt-driven wheel. A shifter's a shifter's a shifter. It's not like there's, I mean, some little resistance here and there, but nothing that kind of crazy. So I like that. I do like how you have all that room to slide. Awesome. I don't have a shifter yet. One of the suggestions was a Fantech shifter, which I will get around to getting, probably in a few weeks. I have bills to pay before then. So other things. So you'll notice that I have a cap here. I do not have a cap here. I have a cap here. There's no cap under there yet. So I've done this on purpose. These top ones, you can kind of see, there's still just a tiny bit of a gap here. I have not got them fully seated, and I really need like a rubber mallet to tap them all the way in. These single squares, they go on easy. Anything above that, you need some extra oomph. And not knowing where I was going to be. I didn't know if everything was going to be in place and everything. Right now, everything's fine. It's not like I'm hurting anything by not having a cap on the back or anything. So for now, I'm just leaving it that way. The caps are over on my shelf. But I like the sturdiness of it. It is very sturdy. There's zero effort that I can feel in it at all. The only play I've ever had in it was day one, and that was when I went to slam on the brakes and the pedal tray slid. And when I say the pedal tray slid, it actually wasn't the tray, as it turns out. It was the pedals. I did not have them screwed down tight enough from underneath. Now these are the pedals that came with the Logitech, the Thrustmaster T300RS GT pedals with the little conical brake mod back there. If we turn that light on, you can see it back there. That's this little guy. So that's what these pedals are. And there's two screws that go in underneath. It's the downfall with these. I'll get back to that in a minute. But those two screws, I actually did not have them down all the way. They were not tight all the way, so the pedal was actually sliding up the back of the tray. So this is the only other thing I don't like about the unit. And let me turn the lights back off. Let me walk over here, and we're going to grab one of the T-nuts that comes with this kit. Set it on the shifter tray so you can kind of see. It's that guy. Now, obviously this is going to go in the channel, and it's going to come out. That's why it's got that little recess in it. So it'll be in the channel like this, and then when you screw it in, this pulls it in. This little metal piece allows you to put it in and kind of twang it into place, and then this will pop back out inside and hold it via friction, which is great until you need to slide it, because then it screeches like crazy because it's literally this piece of metal scraping along the inside of the channel, fork on a plate type of thing. I don't like that. I mean, I'm sure these are cheaper than the ones that come with a little springy ball bearing in them, but there's a couple of things. Basically, there's two that I really wish had the ball bearings and not these, and those are the two down here in the pedal plate. Everything else, I mean, yeah, like even here in the shifter tray, 2 bolts. If you need to move this, you're going to have to loosen them up and slide this back and forth. Generally, your shifter tray, once you've got it in place, it's going to stay in place. Generally, with the pedal tray, once you've got it in place, it's going to stay in place. But the problem I have is that the front here, okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 slots on these big profiles, right? So on the inside, same 4 slots. Well, without knowing where I wanted the front of this pedal tray to rest height-wise, I just put it in the top. Now we have plenty of adjustment over here for angle, but in the front, if you want to move that, let's say, hey, this is too high, I need to go down a notch. Well, you've already put these suckers into the other side. And once these go in, the only way to get them out is to slide them, a piece of styrofoam in there. You have to screech these suckers all the way out the end. Hence why there's no caps on the end over here either. Because I didn't know if this was going to be good enough for me, so I didn't know if I was going to need to slide them out. I have since come to the conclusion that if I do need to raise or lower the front of this, I am not going to bother sliding the old ones out. I'm just going to put new ones in the next slot down. And maybe the next 2 slots or 3. I might just fully load these rails with these T-nuts just so I've got them there, so if I want to change it, I can. Again, it's something that when you're running by yourself, once you've got it in place, it's fine, but it's just annoying. And if it wasn't for this little tabby part, then it wouldn't be so bad to slide one of those out. It's just that my ears can't take it, man. That's just all there is to it. So that's the only downfall I found with that. Putting it together, I had 0 problems from the start until it came to putting on the wheel deck. Okay, so this wheel deck is some pretty hefty stuff. It's like at least a 1/4 inch thick steel plate. It's awesome. So you see I've got a couple of bolts on each side here. 1 there and 2 that were here. So that's pretty cool. The problem I had was trying to get it to line up coming down into here. Because it's, I mean, obviously I didn't have the wheel mounted, but even this plate by itself is really heavy to the point where it was hard holding this in place and lining up the screw on the outside. What I ended up doing was actually took one and broke the tabs off, which isn't hard, you just pop them off. so that I could slide, I could screw it onto the back of one of the bolts and then slide it down, well, the other way around, but I could slide it down with the bolt and everything on each side, get it lined up so I could at least get them in a slot and then tighten down. And then I left it at the top, and then underneath I put a couple in there and pushed it around, and I got it eventually to work. But that was the hardest part of the whole thing, really. People have complained about putting the bolts in for the seats. I didn't have much of a problem with them. The only problem per se is if we come over here and we grab the wrench, the Allen key that comes with it. When you slide the seat all the way forward, you can get this in here, but you are kind of pushing up against the leather. So if I turn this on, so you kind of have to, you're right up tight to it when you've got this all the way forward, but it's not impossible like some people claim. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the unit itself goes. Like I said, really high quality, no flex at all. So one of the things that people have compared the GT Omega Prime to are like the TR cockpits from Track Racer, the Sim Labs. But the one thing that people failed to realize is that a lot of those, like the TR80, your base legs are a lot smaller. They're a lot thinner. So for me, dollar to dollar, including a seat and including a shifter bracket, it was a hands down, this value wins for me. All that and free shipping, plus the 10% discount that they gave me. So that was, that was a Christmas special or whatever it was, pre-order special, I think it was. But either way, I mean, even without that, a lot of these other cockpits don't come with a seat, and everyone's like, oh, you can get the TR80 so much cheaper. Well, it's half the profile with no seat and no accessories. So yeah, it is made to be cheaper. But by the time you add a seat, even if you don't need a shifter, by the time you add a seat and pay for the shipping, well, you're right up at the same cost, and this one's got double the thickness in the profile. So to me, it was a great deal for it. People have complained about the pedal tray. I feel zero flex in it. Granted, I don't watch it with a camera pointed at my feet, so I can't say if it's flexing at all, but I certainly don't feel anything. Plenty of adjustment in it. I know that people have said that, can we get a better pedal tray or whatever. But the beautiful thing about a profile cockpit is you can hook anything to it. So if you wanted to put a better pedal tray on it, I'm sure you can make it happen. One of the things I want to do, I was talking about my keyboard. I have seen some 3D printed keyboard brackets. Basically just a couple little plasticky things that your keyboard can slide down onto to keep it out of the way. What I want to do is pick up a Track Racer makes a bolt-on swiveling keyboard tray. Well, it bolts into 80/20 profile. So it doesn't have to be a GT Omega one. They don't have a keyboard tray designed for this yet. Not that I know of. So I'll just buy one from somebody else and make it work. No big deal. I do not know if the monitor mounts from like the Sim Labs will fit on the same one. I don't know if they do the same mounting. A lot of companies, they'll actually mount your side legs directly on top, so you're flush, whereas these are actually set out. So I don't know if you would need to adjust that. Not that you couldn't. You could actually just raise these legs up if you had a different wheel back and slide them in. There's always ways to do things. You could always cut it down. You could do lots of different. But otherwise, the assembly was really easy. I'll do like a quick time lapse if I can remember how to do that and just kind of show you some of the unboxing. Again, with really dark lights. It's starting to get darker outside already, but I only had one bulb and it was a very dim one. Kind of like people I know. So thanks for watching. This was my little mini review of the GT Omega Prime. No, I'm not really so much on the rest of it, but again, that was I really like it. You know, break it out into 4 payments, get free shipping, pound for pound. I think it's a very good value. Maybe not the best cockpit, but certainly good enough for me. I mean, I cannot find anything to complain about other than little things. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.